Now it's time to welcome our second guest, Gordon Chang. Gordon Chang is a well-known columnist for the Daily Beast, author and lecturer whose books include The Coming Collapse of China and Nuclear Showdown, North Korea Takes on the World. He frequently shares insights and expertise in the financial media, including CNN, Fox, Fox Biz, CNBC, MSNBC, BBC, Bloomberg, and of course we're happy to have him back here on Newsmax and the Income Generation. Gordon, welcome back.
Thank you so much.
So, is this really a trade war, as the media likes to call it?
I think it's actually, people call it a trade war, but I think it's more than that in the sense that the tariffs that everyone is complaining about, they're imposed under Section 301 of the Trade Act of 1974. They're meant to be a remedy for the theft of U.S. intellectual property, because each year China steals hundreds of billions of dollars of U.S. innovation. And so these tariffs are meant to stop that. And so you can call it a trade war, and there are a lot of trade complaints we have with China, but this is really a tech war. And in this sense, that's more important.
Okay, now we have to go to commercial break in just a moment, but in 30 seconds we have left, tell our Income Generation members, is it winnable?
Oh, it's certainly winnable. I mean, China's merchandise trade surplus against the U.S. last year was 88.8% of its overall merchandise surplus. That's enormous leverage that the U.S. has over China. We've got the bigger economy, and our economy in reality is growing faster. We got a stable economy. China's not. Their markets are plunging. Ours are going up. This is easily a winnable war.
So essentially, you're saying they have more to lose than we do in this, which is a very valid point. So stay with us, Gordon, please, for our next segment. You stay with us, too. We'll be right back with much more from Gordon Chang here on The Income Generation. Welcome back to The Income Generation. We're here with Gordon Chang. So, Gordon, you heard just a few moments ago Jim Rogers say that he thought China had the upper hand in this trade war because their economy is growing faster than ours. But you seem to be taking the opposite stance. You seem to be saying that, we're a bigger economy and they have more to lose. And also one note that we've made is that our stock market seems to be implying that we can weather it better than China compared to China's stock market. Your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, certainly. China's markets are down more than 20% for the year. They wouldn't be plunging if people in China had a lot of confidence. The currency's down about 10%. And by the way, all of these figures for both the markets and the currency would be much worse, except China is supporting stocks. It's supporting the renminbi. Our markets are up for the year. And reality, we're growing faster. We're growing about 4.2, 4.3%. China in reality is growing somewhere in the 3%, maybe even 2% range. And they've got a systemic debt crisis on the horizon. They haven't had their 2008 crisis yet. They're heading toward it. We've already weathered it. So you look at all of the economic fundamentals, we've got the high cards.
Okay. Now, it's interesting. I want to go back to what you said before about the intellectual property theft. A lot of viewers would listen to this and say, I know the president has claimed this, a lot of officials have claimed this. What proof do we have, though, that there is intellectual property theft?
Well, there are two studies. One of them is the Commission on the Theft of American Intellectual Property in 2013. That's the Blair-Huntsman report. It was updated in 2017. Also, you have the U.S. Trade Representative's report issued in March of this year. No one actually knows the exact amount, but everyone puts it into the hundreds of billions of dollars. And by the way, so do U.S. companies that are the victims of this theft. So we know that it is substantial. And it's not just plain out theft. It's also the forced taking of U.S. property with rules that violate China's World Trade Organization obligations. So across the board, either by forced taking or by outright theft, we know that China's theft does range somewhere in the hundreds of billions of dollars.
So culturally, we know that China is probably unlikely to back down from this. So the question becomes, with the 30 seconds or so we have left in the segment, how long will the struggle last? And what's the best advice you give to our Income Generation members as to how to protect themselves?
Well, this could last decades, or it could last as long as China manages to keep itself together, which might not be too long. This is a long-term struggle. It's existential because if we can't commercialize our innovation, we don't have very much of an economy. So there's not very many ways to protect oneself except maybe to get into treasuries and wait. But this will be a long-term struggle.
Yeah, and I can't argue with the treasuries because I think, unlike most people who say there's a bond bubble here in the United States, I believe otherwise. So treasuries are still a safe haven. So Gordon, thanks again for being part of the show. We appreciate you being here.